Wonderful. Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody to our Options to Home Ownership webinar. We have been working very hard on gathering the resources and information for you guys. We wanted to make sure that this was a very informative presentation. So we're going to hop right in. I'm going to do our best. I really like to try to keep these to an hour. So as we get towards that hour time point, I will hop on, and if we're good, we'll close off. If we're still running, then I'll let anybody know if they need to leave, they can do so. Okay. So I'm gonna start. Hopefully. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to give a big welcome to Peter Lopez, as well as all of our industry professionals. We have a lot of other realtors, mortgage brokers, teachers, pastors, people in politics in the city, and it's really cool how everybody was able to come together. Lawyers, we have Lisa on the call. Investors, we have lots of folks on the call, and we're just really excited to have you all here and just coming together to support the sharing of this information that we have. Peter, I just gonna give you maybe a minute or two or 30 seconds, whatever works, just to introduce yourself to the group, say hello, and then I'm gonna introduce Max and myself. So Peter, you know how to unmute and say hello.
Hello, Peter Lopez here. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. I am a real estate investor for the last 35 years, 40 almost. I've owned properties, and I just know that on my coming to Canada, both in international, both in Jamaica and here, I own, and coming to Canada, I saw a lot of things I didn't like. The main thing I didn't like was that there were too many poor black people around. Whereas in Jamaica, you have a whole slew of poor people. You also have middle class and upper class and all classes. But the number one thing that I learned over all these years, I worked for multinationals for over 25 years, big American companies. I worked at Nutrition Products Limited to start with, which was the government school feeding program. Then I went to Goodyear. Then from Goodyear, I went to PH&H in Canada. Then after PH&H in Canada, I went to Borders of America and ITT Milrod. Those are all manufacturing companies. But as I was working in those industries as an HR specialist, I found out that a lot of people just didn't find out how to get wealthy and how to stay there. And the best vehicle that I found over all the instruments, over all the years, is real estate, because for all the reasons that we know and for some of the reasons that you don't know. Thank God in this country, Canada, real estate goes up, up, up and plateaus and up and plateaus. It doesn't go flipping like in America, where I have known quite a few people, investors in America, who have lost their shirt because real estate values has dropped. We're lucky here, and what I hope comes out of this gathering tonight is that we are able to see if we can work together to help to educate people and put them into houses, giving them a key and showing them that that's the way to start. The key that opens the door to their future. And I'm very happy that we're here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Real estate is just what it is. It is what it is, and it's a great investment.
Yes. Thank you so much, Peter. Okay, so one of the other presenters we have on the call today is Max Stewart. Max. Max, are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I just figured out how to unmute myself. Yeah, I was pressing the mute button on myself. Yeah, my name is Max Stewart. I'm an award-winning realtor with Red and White Realty. I like to consider myself a licensed real estate investor, not just a real estate agent, and help people with their strategies to create generational wealth, whether that be with them directly, their mortgage professional, their tax person, just making sure that everybody has, again, the path to home ownership and can pass something down to their family.
Perfect. Thank you, Max. Okay, I'm Stephanie. Hi, everybody. I'm an award-winning realtor with Manor Realty, and I'm a Platinum Access pre-construction agent. So I'm very passionate about pre-construction. Those of you who know me will see I talk about it all day, every day. I'm the author of Wealthy Home Sellers. So it's a book that I put out to just educate on how to be successful with selling your real estate and how to use real estate as a wealth building vehicle, which we're going to talk a lot about today. And I'm also a real estate investor myself. So a lot of the strategies and information that we shared with you today, both myself and Max, we actually know from practice. We know from being very active top realtors in the industry. And so you're going to be getting a lot of that information today. I'm very, very passionate about helping everybody that I know, my community, families, women, just how I put at the beginning, just reach your goals, reach your dreams, have financial freedom, and build that generational wealth. So really happy to be here today. So little minor housekeeping notes. I always like to begin the presentation by letting everyone know I'm not great at tech, but I'm getting better. So please do your best to keep yourself on mute. I think I figured out how to mute everybody fairly well, but I sometimes struggle, so please do that for me. We do have a chat box, which you can feel free to post any questions or comments in. And between Max and myself, we're going to do our best to moderate that chat box and just address any kind of relevant topics that pop up as we are presenting. It is quite an informative presentation. As I said, we have a lot of information that we're going to try to get out to you, and most likely most of your questions are going to be answered. We will ask that towards the end of the call is when maybe we'll have a little bit more of an open discussion Q&A if needed. And yeah, just really grateful to have everybody with us today to have this platform and share. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So all right. So being, as we said, on the road, being out, working with clients, talking to folks every day, through the discussions with Peter, with Max, and other industry professionals, we've identified that there are some common barriers that we find our clients and folks just face when they're trying to get into real estate. I think most people maybe buy into that dream of, of home ownership, but I think sometimes the challenges that are faced can be a little bit discouraging. And sometimes people think that owning a home is not possible. But again, we're here today to show you that it absolutely is possible. It really is about education and resources and being connected to folks who really understand the industry. And that's, we're going to bring those solutions to you today and what we're going to talk about. So one common thing that we see is absolutely with the deposit. So the deposit or your down payment is that initial lump sum of funds that you're going to need to be able to get into the property. And a lot of times in pre-construction or to get uninsured mortgage, this amount could be 20% of the purchase price. And as we know in Toronto, we have really high property values, and we'll run through some of those numbers today. But coming up with that 20% can be quite a challenge for some folks and is absolutely one of the major barriers to home ownership. The mortgage approval. So this kind of comes down to people's qualifying amount, that disparity between the amount that you've qualified for and perhaps the location you want to live in or the type of property you need for your family is sometimes an issue. Credit is absolutely a huge topic. We use financial advisors and people who can support people in building and understanding the value of credit, especially here in Canada. But this is certainly a really important issue. And so this we find can be a major barrier for people. Also reported income on taxes. We see sometimes that comes up if, you're working in an industry, you're not claiming everything. That really ties back into that qualifying amount issue. So again, today we are going to focus on providing solutions for you guys to some of these barriers that we see. I think that I hear somebody, so I'm going to mute it all again. Okay. Cool. And we'll keep going. Okay. Max. So, can you talk to us a little bit about why we should strive for home ownership? You have to unmute yourself again. I'm sorry, I muted everybody because I heard someone.
Yes,
Thank
okay,
you.
it's easier for me to go through that now. So I think we're just gonna have to figure out how to click the next one as we're going along. But why we should strive for home ownership? Basically, why pay someone else when you could pay for yourself? Every time you're paying your rent, you are paying somebody else's mortgage and creating generational wealth for them. So why would you just do it for yourself? And through the rent to home program, you shop for the home directly as if you were buying it regularly, and you get the pride of home ownership. You basically start off renting the home as if you were going to buy it yourself, and it's like owning it from day one. And you get to customize the home to your personal taste. So usually when you rent a home, you can basically paint it and hang up a couple pictures on the wall. But when you're doing the rent to own program, you can do a little bit more within reason. And that could be stuff in the front of the house, a little bit more, personalization, nothing major like tearing down any walls until you own the home, but you get to do it to your personal taste. And generational wealth. Well, what is generational wealth? It's basically what you have that you can pass down to somebody else. So that could be property, that could be jewelry, that could be art, that could be savings that are in investments like stocks and bonds. And the vehicle that we're talking about right now is through real estate and equity that you can pass to your children. And why is that important? I just think about it as when I was in Jamaica, the families that had generational wealth or the families that were, bigger, all owned land. And it was about sectioning off the land to this child and that child and everything else. And I want to create that legacy and be able to do that in Canada or Jamaica with my children as well. So that's why it's important to me. And it's also another way of not having to be dependent on an income or somebody else to live and go forward, and makes it that much easier for your children as well. Because as we know, the 20% down or whatever the other barriers are to get into the home market right now is going to be that much harder in the future. So that's why it's important to me as well to help my kids and other people get into the market sooner than later.
Thank you. So what what we're talking about here today again is real estate as a wealth building vehicle. And I love real estate. Okay. There's many different ways to get involved in real estate. That could be from pre-construction. You see some couple posts here in the corner of different pre-construction projects. It could be on the investing side. It could be on the lending side. There's so many ways to diversify your portfolio, to diversify ways of creating cash flow, long-term wealth, all within the sphere of real estate. So what I try to guide my clients with is to really understand your why before getting involved in investing, because understanding your why and understanding your end goal can help you kind of guide you through in deciding which opportunities are best for you. That may be owning property overseas, again, that may be doing flips like the assignment strategies with pre-construction, which we're going to talk about. Maybe you're someone who really wants to develop and build your portfolio. So you're going to buy and hold particular properties, and you're maintaining that within your family and passing it on to future generations. I definitely love the buy and hold idea and strategy. I encourage my clients, especially as we're building families, have a property for each of your children. That's an investment for them that they can use to go to school, to buy their first property, as Max said, coming up with that 20% deposit. It's something you're passing on and giving to them. So understand your why before investing to help you guide and decide what's best for you. Some things we really try to think about and guide our clients with is understanding about buying in up and coming neighborhoods, because we want to understand trends. And I put there crystal ball effect. I call it the crystal ball effect. So there's like patterns and trends that we see repeating themselves over time. And so we can kind of look at a neighborhood. I always give the example that I grew up in Cambridge, which was a really small little town. Most people know about it now, but they didn't always. And I remember like our family home buying a very big 4-bedroom detached home for like $189,000. And so looking at the value of those homes today, well over $1 million, how these things work for you in booming cities. I've seen, because I'm in pre-construction, I've seen from dirt and in grass fields how communities are developed and how the value of buying into that and just having foresight and vision can help you to develop so much wealth and leverage to really build off of. So understanding those trends is super important with utilizing real estate for wealth building. Investing in real estate you can rent because even as Peter had mentioned, we do have a little, sometimes there's little fluctuations in the market, but if you're purchasing a property that is rentable, that kind of gets you through those maybe low periods in some of the property values. Again, that's a whole nother conversation, but I think, we have times when things go down a bit, but ultimately things are going down and up, but they're going up over time. And so you want to have something that, like I said, you can kind of keep and leverage. Equity equals long-term wealth, and that wealth is available to you through HELOCs, which we're going to discuss today, refinancing, selling if you had to, and it's transferable. You can pass that down to your future generations. So something you'll frequently hear me say, buy real estate and wait. It's just a waiting game. Equity is going to come, wealth is going to come if we're doing it strategically and with vision. So we're going to talk about today's market conditions. As a realtor, we get asked these questions all the time. I'm going to try to minimize this. So the average selling price in the GTA, I remember doing a video a couple months ago and saying, oh my goodness, our average price of the property has now hit $1.1 million. And I was asking if folks were interested in selling their properties and kind of, tapping into that, or again, refinancing and such like that. Now we are in a period of time where interest rates largely are affecting our market value. There's a lot of things at play with our market value and also talking about future projections. But right now, as it is, interest rates have been increasing very aggressively. And so we have seen the market down. But what we've seen is that it's down by about 5.7% from last October. So we really spiked up, but there hasn't been a major drop from 1 year prior, the year-over-year value. Okay, so our average selling price for home now is a little bit under 1.1. We're at 1,089,000. So new listings are down 11.6% year over year. And that's a level that we haven't seen since 2010. So that's pretty significant. And that is speaking to our issue of inventory. So playing into supply and demand, which Max will touch on a bit next. But considering the demand that we have for real estate, we have a low inventory issue. So the Bank of Canada's most recent messaging is suggesting that perhaps we're reaching the end of their tightening cycle. Perhaps, everybody's hoping so. The mortgage rate we're seeing perhaps might kind of level off a little bit and create a little bit more affordability for folks. So we'll see how that goes. We are seeing this is a major significant change on the buyer's side. So we are definitely in a buyer's market right now where we're seeing the return of conditions. So again, as I mentioned, Max and I are very active realtors, and I'm telling you, as a buyer, it has been a very tough time for a lot of folks. You literally were giving away everything to be able to get into a property. We were waiving rights for inspections. A lot of deals were being offered firm, so no condition of financing. Purchase conditional upon sale, not even happening in multiple offers. But now we are seeing the return of these conditions, which I think is great in creating a little bit more of a level market for everybody. And it's also allowing our buyers to have a little bit more time in terms of making decisions, taking advantage of opportunities to view and compare different homes and neighborhoods. There was just, it was really, really competitive for a long period of time. It's a very, very, very strong buyer's market, and seller's market for a long period of time. And I think now things are leveling off a little bit, and I think it's a good thing. We're also seeing a little bit more ability to negotiate on price and other factors that, again, as a buyer, typically you didn't have a lot to say in being able to secure a property. But now, the art of negotiating is really returning, which again, I think is excellent. And I think it's also going to stand for our industry in terms of real estate. Those on the call who are realtors, it's going to be a time for us to really step up and show our skill and expertise and how we are really able to pull deals together that are, fair in favor of our clients and do a lot more work. So I think it's a good time that's coming. So Max, if you can please, this is all the buzz, I think. This, before you get started, this image here is actually from a presentation that I did maybe, let's say, last year. And you'll see it was talking about immigration from 2021 to 2023. And Max is going to speak to the next numbers, but we've been seeing a rise in the immigration for quite some time in terms of the government involvement. So Max?
So yeah, there's obviously, like we're saying, it's going to be a rise in supply and demand because of the government wanting to bring in new immigrants, a significant amount of new immigrants. And for our presentation, it kind of accentuates some of the benefits of what we're trying to do for new immigrants, as well as in understanding what the market's going to be like and what the inventory is going to be like coming in the future, because there's going to have to be somewhere for 465,000 new immigrants to live. And the trajectory that the government is looking for is between 2023, 465,000, 2024, 485,000, and by 2025, 500,000 new immigrants to be in Canada. So where are they going to live? And when they do come, how are they going to afford homes? One of the options that we have is the rent-to-own program. And sometimes people come from overseas and they don't have a job right away, or they don't have credit right away, but they do come with money. So there's going to be a shortage of properties, and what happens when there's a shortage of properties? Property values goes up. So we want to get in now and as soon as possible.
Excellent. So the path to home ownership. So where to start? I think knowledge is power. I really do. Anytime somebody comes to me and says they're interested in getting into the market, one of my first discussions with them is, have you been pre-approved? And I know for some folks, they are concerned of sharing personal information. It can feel quite overwhelming to gather documentation. Perhaps there's some things you don't really want to share, but all of that is going to come out eventually. So it's always best to be very honest with your mortgage broker right from the start. But it's important to understand where you stand today. It's important to understand your position, because it's not that you're never going to own if there, as Max covered some of the things, if it's credit or income issues or whatever it may be. It's not that those things are not able to be worked out. You can improve them, but we need to understand where you are today so that we can get you to where you want to be. So knowledge is power. Understanding your position is super important. Jen, if you're on the call, I know you're on the call. I'm going to call on you in just a second to talk about HELOCs. So one of the issues, again, as we talked about, was being able to access funds to purchase a property, and that may be purchasing your second or third investment property, maybe getting into pre-construction, it may be purchasing that first property. Sorry, HELOCs will be if you already own something. So second, third property, whatever it may be. Traditionally, what a lot of folks was doing over the last little while, because our property values were so high, was being able to refinance, take out a second mortgage, have your tenant pay for that. And now you have more cash to keep leveraging and flipping your property. But today, with interest rates being so high, that's been a challenge, right? Nobody wants to have those large expenses, but we're seeing HELOCs as a really great alternative solution to that. This is a way of utilizing some of the equity that you have in your property. Another term used to be equity is dead money. It's money that's just sitting there. Don't just let it sit there. Let your money work for you, rather than hours and hours and hours of extra of you going into the office, or it may be. Let your money work for you. Create that passive income. And so a HELOC is something I'm going to invite Jen to just briefly explain in just a couple moments. The next thing is that on the call today, we are going to be covering 3 strategies. I saw in the chat someone asking if we're going to be chatting about rent-to-owns. Yes. So the 3 strategies we're going to cover today is going to be the rent-to-own. We're going to go over it so people can understand how it works. It's a powerful program, okay? It's an excellent opportunity. And on both sides, right? If you are the person looking to purchase, and also if you're an investor, there are some opportunities there. Pre-construction, my love, I'm going to talk about that and how this is a strategy that you can utilize to leverage, get in the market, build your income, build your cash flow, it's awesome. So I'm excited about that to chat to you guys. And then we're also going to touch on co-ownership, which is like fractional interest. And just so you have an understanding of that, I see a lot of folks utilizing this today. It is it's excellent when you do it properly. It works and everybody can benefit. And I think it's a great way to pull community and families together, and everybody just builds and builds and builds and propels themselves forward. So Jenny, if you're on the call, Jen, oh, perfect. Okay. Jen is a mortgage broker. Hi, dear.
Hi, guys.
Thanks so much for being with us. I just wanted to if you could briefly just let everybody know, what is a HELOC? And if you, I don't know if you have rates. I don't know if you can throw out some rates just for people to understand where that is. Maybe not. It's okay.
Usually I don't do that. And
I know.
Okay. And it's going back to the facts, like I always look at the documents first, and it will depend on the individual situations, right? Because there is a bunch of different HELOC. And what is HELOC? It's basically a home equity line of credit. And as of now, it's one of the cheapest loans that you can access through FI, so financial institutes, right? So it's basically building on your own equity that you already have in your house. So let's say you bought a house back, like let's say 5 years ago. We know there was appreciation at least 5%. Last year, we know there was depreciation by 5%, but usually there is appreciation by 5 to 10%. It means that you already have equity in your home. What you can do, you can go to any financial institute. It doesn't necessarily need to be where you have your mortgage. And based on that equity that you have in your house, you can come to certain terms of how you're getting that loan, right? So for example, you can get $100,000. Usually they give you that for 10 years. So what you do, you only pay interest on that amount that you pull out. But the beauty in a home equity line of credit that you can pull, let's say, the whole $100,000 and start amortize that like you amortize your mortgage, right? So it's not just paying the interest, you will be also paying the principal. So the beauty of that line that it's always there for you. It's relatively cheap to other loans that are available, and it's a great way, like Stephanie said, to invest in your next property.
Thank you so much. My dream that I used to share with people in building portfolios was if you have a lot of equity, you can take out, right? And you can take out like a $300,000 if you have it, and I know the rates are there and you can speak on that, but you can take out a very large one. You can use it to buy a property, right? And
Yes, for sure. And that's basically what we did, my husband and me, last year. We moved into a new house, and then immediately, my recommendation is get a home equity line of credit right away. Even if you don't use it, having access to it, right? Because it's like your emergency funds, your investment funds. You just, like, even if you don't use it, you should always have an access to one. Perfect. So we took that money and we put it into pre-construction. Yep.
Love it. Very good. That is the plan. Okay. That's what I want to see. And there are properties that are $300,000, just maybe not in the GTA, but I can tell you where they are and you can buy them. So thank you, Jenny. All right. So moving to our next slide. Thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate it. So Max is going to get into our rent to own. So this is strategy number 1. Guys, get your pens and papers out. Okay. Make sure you're taking notes. This is going to be some good stuff. Okay, Max.
Okay, all right. That's me there again. What's the next slide?
Oh, then that's contact information. Our contact information is in the chat box, and I just put it here so you guys can connect. Okay.
Okay, so a little bit about the rent-to-own program and who we're doing it with Marlando Bailey and Homes Ownership Soon. So through our program that we've done, 1,300 families have successfully finished our program, so it's very successful. And it's something that is easy to get into. And once you're qualified, you can start right away. The first step is doing the application process. It costs $975, and that $975 gets credited towards your down payment. So it's not like you're just putting the money out there. It actually goes back towards the purchase price of the home at the end of the process. So families are qualified for a purchase price approximately 5 times their annual income. So whatever your annual income is, times 5, is about how much you'll qualify for your home purchase. The exit strategy during the term of the mortgage is to get a conventional mortgage. So the terms are usually between 2 to 5 years, and our goal is to help you get pre-approved for a conventional mortgage within that time. Whatever we got to do to help you fix your situation there, because you probably just missed getting a conventional mortgage. And then once you get approved through our rent-to-own program, let's go shopping. Either Stephanie or I can help you as licensed realtors.
Awesome.
Okay, so on our path to home ownership. So once you've qualified for your ideal home, we've done the application process and we figured out your income. We put together a agreement of purchase and sale and make an offer on a property just as if we're doing a regular purchase with conditions on financing and complete home inspection. And the down payment is required as 5% approximately, depending on other factors like what your pay is like or your income is like. And then the good thing is 20% of your monthly rent-to-own payment is added to the starting down payment that you did at the beginning. So your 5%, if you think about your monthly payment of about $4,000 for rough numbers, $800 of that is saved every month to go towards your down payment. So it's like forced savings. You don't have to think about it. You're just saving away $800 every month until the end of the program. And that goes towards your down payment, helping you build your 5% down. So your monthly payments include your property taxes and your down payment, of course. So you don't have to continuously pay property taxes as you're going through this. It's already covered in your monthly rent-to-own payment. And you have to pay for your utilities and content insurance. Sorry, one sec. So as I'm building the life I want to live, my daughter's in the background, so please. Okay, 1 second. I have to give her a hug. Come. Well, you have nail polish on. I can't help you. You do your thing. All right. So yeah. So your utilities and contents insurance for your own property that's inside are obviously your responsibility, plus any condo fees if those are applicable. Okay. So this is a good one here. The future price increases at a rate of about 2 to 4% year over year through our program. So what we're basically saying is once you bought the property, there has to be an increase in the property year over year at the end of the program. And if there's any increase over that 2 to 4% that you've agreed to in your initial offer to purchase, all that benefit goes towards the rent to own tenant. And if you look at like the regular market, on average, you might see anywhere between 8%, 12% year over year increase in properties. And if you see how the market has been going recently, sometimes you're seeing 20%, 30% or more increase in the property values as you're purchasing. So in this graph, if you look at an initial purchase price of $600,000, if that's what you qualify for in our program, you've agreed to use, let's say, 3% of appreciation. So every year, from your $600,000 initial purchase, year one, it goes up by 3%, year two, it goes up by 3%, year three, it goes up by 3% at a final purchase price of $656,000. So if the market goes up higher than that at about 12% year over year, again, year one, 12%, year two, 12%, year three, 12%, the value of the property is worth $843,000. So no matter what the value of the property is, you've already agreed with the investor to buy it for $656,000. That's about $180,000 of generational wealth you just created potentially through this rent-to-own program. That's just by getting in the market right away. So that's a very great opportunity to start building your generational wealth.
Yeah, and I think like part of the point with that too, if you don't mind me saying, is when you're renting, like there's so much benefits to this program. You're renting, you're just renting. You're investing in someone else. You're not investing in yourself. You're not having the freedom to, customize the home and do things like that. Where in this way, the rent to own property is allowing you to live and rent, but you're like renting to own it. You are renting to build equity. And I just think it's such an awesome opportunity for folks to to do. And that like 20%, that forced savings, I think sometimes people like to wrap their head around that's a little challenging when you're trying to save. In this case, it's part of your term, it's part of your agreement, and at the end, you're actually getting into your property. I just think it's such a cool process. All right.
Okay, so who would benefit from our program here? So if you have bruised credit but have 5% down, so your credit could be bruised for any number of reasons, and it doesn't really matter. You may have 5% down. You just have to fix your credit. So you have time and help with our program, with the mortgage agent and the credit counselors, and you know, we help you get. Maybe you need another credit card. Maybe you need another revolving line of credit, and because you only have one credit card or only one bank card, we'll help you with that. Whatever strategy it takes to rebuild your credit is what we're going to do. You could have great credit, but you don't have 5% down. So with the forced savings of whether it's $800 or whatever it is, our program is developed to make sure that you have 5% down at the end of the program. The good thing I want to, you know, accentuate about our program is our goal is for you to have at least 5% down. There's other rent-to-own programs that have, you know, all kind of different rules and whatever else, but they'll say like 0% down. The odds are you're not going to be able to pay or make enough down payments to purchase that property or have 5% down within 3 years. So our program is meant for success. So that's why we always like try to accentuate that 5% down at the end of the program. Again, from our previous slide on new to the country, you may not have established credit in Canada yet, but you have credit from, you know, wherever you're from. You have time to build that credit and get access to the credit that you're building in Canada and that you've brought from before, from whatever country you're from. And you may have, you know, a lot of cash from, you know, whatever country you're from. And, you know, because of no credit, you cannot buy a property. You're not mortgage worthy in Canada yet. So this is a great opportunity for, if you're new to Canada, to get into a property. And then many people that are new to Canada, they do this with their family. They'll come and, you know, whether it's one person or, you know, mother, daughter, or two sets of families that are from the same family, they'll live in the same house. And that's another way for, you know, people, whether you're new to Canada or not, to get into home ownership. If you're self-employed, like myself and, you know, maybe some mortgage agents, it's not always easy to get a mortgage because we don't always look favorable on, you know, if you work for yourself. If you work for yourself, you want as many write-offs as possible. So you don't want to show that much income, but not showing that much income does not help you mortgage-wise. So we give you time to work on, you know, showing that income and making sure that you're, you know, mortgage worthy at the end of our term. If you're starting a new career, again, Jen or any other mortgage agent could probably tell you, if you don't have 2 years in the same industry or the same job, the mortgages don't necessarily, or the mortgage broker, the banks don't necessarily look at you as having a stable income. So you might have to be somewhere for 2 years or another year to show that you're, you know, been in that same job or that type of job for enough time. If you have a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal, you may only need a couple of years or, you know, a couple of months or whatever for that to come off of your record. And sometimes with whether it's a consumer proposal, showing that you're in this rent-to-own program actually builds your credit. So it kind of helps you get back on track that way as well. So we work with you to be mortgage ready at the end of the term. So whatever situation you're in, there's probably a solution that we can help you to get into a home sooner than later through this program if you don't qualify right away.
Awesome. Oh, sorry.
Okay, and the benefits. Once we've set your rent-to-own payment, there's no increase, you know, year over year or anything like that, because when you're renting, the rental rates are allowed to go up by X% every year. Well, through this program, your rent or your rent-to-own payment is capped. It is what it is, and it's not going to change. There's no need for self-discipline and worrying about, okay, how much am I going to save this month? It is built into your rent-to-own payment. So you're guaranteed to put aside whatever that is at the end of every month. I have problems myself putting away money for whatever I want to do, and forced savings through this program is a great way. your future purchase price is capped as well. So the purchase, if the market goes way up, way up, way up, way up, no matter what, if it's worth $1 million, $2 million, you bought it at $656,000, if we're using the number that we did before, and a low deposit down payment of 5%, maybe a little bit less, depending on what your income is. And, some of the numbers have to adjust back and forth, but a low cost of entry, and it's a great opportunity.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Max. So strategy number 2 we're going to talk about is pre-construction. There's my contact information. You guys could write that down. Okay. So buying pre-construction. So typically there is a time frame from the time you purchase to the time of closing. I find typically it's like 2 to 3 years. Sometimes there's quick closes, which may be about a year's time, but there is time. Typical closing in resale market is 30 to 90 days. Okay. You typically have some sort of deposit structure. So oftentimes, as platinum agents, we get really cool initial incentives. And one of those incentives may be some type of extended deposit structure. Sometimes I'll see $1,000 a month for such and such a period of time, or $1,000 to start, balance of 5% in 30 days. So just different structures. And I kind of equate that with like the forced savings. So you're having to make sure you're disciplined enough to make those payments over the course of 1 or 2 years. Your money is focused, and that's what you're doing. That commitment is there. There are no other payments or financial obligations. So during that 1 to 3 year period, all you have to do is make sure you have that deposit down, and that's it. So while your property is gaining equity, as we kind of discussed numbers that we've seen in the market, there's no mortgage payment, there's no insurance payments, there's no maintenance or anything like that that's being done for you. The property is just appreciating over time. We're buying at today's prices with the belief that the future prices will rise. And typically with my clients, I do look at what is the year-over-year appreciation in this particular area. I choose the projects and see which areas are performing very well. So these are things that we consider. Any building issues are under warranty. So there's something called the Terry-on warranty. I would never suggest anybody purchasing with a pre-construction builder who doesn't have a Terry-on warranty. These are things that are going to protect like the foundation of the home. You do something called a PDI. So just before you receive the property, you walk through and make sure everything is completed up to your liking and up to standards. I say this, new is better in the resale market. So if you have purchased something, it's, you've been waiting 2 years for it to be built. Now we're closing. Now we come to market. The house is shiny and brand new. All the fixtures and everything like that has not been used. And I find it does really well on the resale market. So if you're going to cash out on that equity in a couple of years by selling it and then putting it up on MLS, I just find it works really, really well. Also, the assignment strategy is something I'm going to talk about next. But again, you can sell after a couple of years as you approach your closing. For the pre-construction project, you are selling at tomorrow's price. That little spread between where you purchased and tomorrow's future value is your profit, obviously minus your legal fees and realtor fees and stuff like that when you sell, but that is the money that is gained. That is your profit. If you are using the pre-construction project with the buy and hold strategy, I do find that it's pretty easy to find a tenant because again, you have a brand new shiny product that you're bringing to the market, and I find it does really well to get a tenant. So there's a lot of benefits to buying pre-construction. Again, that I'll also say that utilization of time. So again, if credit isn't in a perfect position, if income is in a perfect position, change of job, all those pieces on flexibility, you have that duration of time to work on it to make sure that once it comes time to close, you're in a position to close. But you're taking advantage of the gain in equity from the time of purchase. So your pre-construction projects will have a 10-day cooling off period. So it's like a rescinding period. Once you've signed a contract, you have time to review it with a lawyer to make sure you have complete understanding of what you're purchasing, the condo rules, assignment rules, and all of those things. So you have time to make sure that this is something you definitely want to move forward with. And then just at the end, as a platinum agent, we get first access and special incentives for our clients. So any particular project is going to have different things. It could be free appliances. It could be free assignment. If the assignment strategy is something you want to utilize, that's an important one. Could be right to lease upon occupancy, which is a great period of cash flow for investors renting during occupancy. So these are just things that we can talk about as projects come up. So, again, pre-construction, as I said, is very flexible to overcome some of those barriers that we discussed. So flexibility to loss of job, move or change of situation. So you might buy a pre-construction project with the intention of moving in at the end of the 3-year, 4-year building phase, but something happens and you don't want to anymore. Well, you still have all of that equity that you gained, right, during that time period. And so it's not a loss for you. You're able to shift, and the pre-construction gives that flexibility to you. Again, the time, as I discussed, time to improve credit, time to improve income, or perhaps you want to do it with an investment partner. You want to get into a co-ownership, and you have time to figure that out and put it together. The assignment opportunity is like flipping a property to make a profit. It's something that you can repeat year over year as an income strategy if that's something you want to do, to take advantage of equity gained. Equity is that year over year appreciation, as I said, without any expenses. Until you close, of course. Rental income and cash flow. So with some pre-construction projects, I do have some numbers on the side here, do offer things like rental guarantees. If there's no rental guarantee, I work with the client to say, what is typical rent on this kind of project in the area? Like if it's a townhome, a 3-bedroom, what's typical rent there? So we try to project and put the numbers together on what would work well. Again, if it's a rental, if that's the goal, buy and hold strategy is your goal, then we want to look for high demand rental areas, walking distance to LRT or subway, or maybe I remember Google coming up and bringing in thousands and thousands of new employees was really important, and as potential rental. So we just kind of look at the nature of the community and the development and what's going on to be able to see that it meets your needs. So calculating cash flow potentials is really important. This on the side is just an example of one of my Calgary projects. So it was like purchase price is $490,000. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It gave a rental guarantee of $2,500 per month, and you can see all the calculations we run through, and it was like cash flowing $432 every month. So it's just an example of another way of getting into real estate and creating cash flow. So you're having your cash flow every month, and the property is also growing and building equity. And here they said that would give you like 20% 20% return on investment over a 3-year period, considering cash flow and equity growth. They were saying it would give you a 73.8% return on investment. So sometimes the numbers are really, really, really good, and it gets exciting. Some of the projects we have in like Dominican, for example, I think was like a 6%. I was trying to see what the number was. Based on like a 65% occupancy, so high rental area, you're going to be able to do really well in terms of cash flow and stuff too. So pre-construction is really an exciting opportunity. Assignment sales. So this is where this particular strategy is where the purchaser sells their interest in a property to another buyer. Okay, so you've gone to the builder, we've chosen the particular project unit that you want, you've signed off, now you have a piece of many papers that you've signed. And so this is what we're selling, the interest in that property to someone else, some period of time down the road. You don't have to actually get a mortgage. You don't have to actually close. You're going to sell it before then. And the new buyer assumes the deal as negotiated with the original buyer. Assignment fees are paid to the builder. Sometimes that could be $5,000 or $2,000 or free if that's an incentive we negotiate. And now you're going to give over the rights to the property, and then that equity gained is your profit as explained. So due to the lag in time from purchase to close, the purchaser's situation may have changed, move, loss of job, etc., and they may not actually be in a position to close on the purchase. So maybe assignment wasn't actually your initial strategy, but it's something you wanted to use. So again, considering annual increase of value in different areas, this can be really good for you in terms of the cash return on investment. Investors use this strategy to build capital from gained equity, and it's also a repeatable income strategy. So without ever actually taking possession and going on title, you can repeat this. And we have many groups. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 groups of folks that come together and they just consistently pool their money together. So if you can even think of, we find a good project where it's like $30,000. This is like an example in Calgary. You need $30,000 to buy a pre-construction project. At the end of 2 years, you sell it. The money gained is, let's say it appreciated $100,000. You've taken that 30,000 is now 100,000. They can take that 100,000 and you can buy 2 more pre-construction projects, flip it in a few years. Now you have doubled your money, just rough math, okay? But you can kind of, just to give an example of how you can do that. And you can keep growing and getting access to more capital. Eventually, maybe you have enough capital to buy the home you're going to live in. Now you have another point of leverage to work off of. So it's an excellent strategy that I've seen many people profit from it. There's a lot of details to assignment strategies. So if it's something you're interested in, we can chat about pros and cons and different challenges and stuff. So Max, we'll talk about strategy number 3.
On ownership and fractional ownership. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so in fractional ownership or co-ownership, you own a partial interest in a property. So more than one person doesn't necessarily have to be on title, but you can have an ownership share in the property. And so it is not limited to the time on the property of the use or a section of the home. Sorry, I didn't see this one here again. So your interest in the property is not limited to a certain specific time. Your interest could be set for like however long until you sell it, until you want to buy out of the property. So more than one person can own the property. So say I'm on title and Stephanie has an interest in the property. So only I'm on title, but both of us own the property, or Peter could own a part of it as well. So 3 of us own this property and have a certain amount of interest. So for however long we decide to keep the property, or when I want to come out of the property, say somebody wants to buy out of the property, that's how we make our agreement. And one of the benefits is it keeps the liability and costs lower than if one person just held it. So if there was something that went wrong, I wouldn't have to pay for everything, then the cost of that would be split between the 3 of us. And on the flip side, the benefit is you can own way more properties with more than one person than you can do it all by yourself. So it's like getting a mortgage by yourself for 100 properties. Well, you can't do that by yourself. Most people can't, but you can if you do some form of fractional ownership with somebody else. So it's a perfect way that people can work together, build equity, and get great return on your investment, great cash flow, opportunities to experience benefits of home ownership. So there's so many ways that you can do that, not just by yourself, but to be a community and help each other grow, a family, or however you want to do it, and whoever you want to, build that, that generational wealth and, get into business with. Trust agreements explain the detail to the plan for the property. So obviously, when you're in any kind of fractional ownership or in real estate, there has to be a contract. And the trust agreement explains all the different details of the plan for the property. So obviously, when you're in any kind of fractional ownership or in real estate, there has to be a contract. And the trust agreement explains all the different details of the plan for the property. So obviously, when you're in any kind of fractional ownership or in real estate, there has to be a contract. And the trust agreement explains all the different details of how much interest maybe I hold or Stephanie holds or Peter holds in that property. So it doesn't have to be 33, 33, 33. It could be any variation thereof, that somebody holds that interest in the property for however long they want to be in the property. It could be a rental property this way. It could be a duplex, a triplex. There's so many different things that you could put into the contract, but it's contractual and it's a trust agreement on how that works. Shared interest, you share the benefits, you share the risks, rather than one person, having all the risk, and there's more than one person that kind of gets spread out. And essentially, you have a group that shares the accountability, that works with each other, schedules the maintenance, checks on the home, and divides the work and chores that needs to be done, otherwise left to a single person. So you don't have to do it all by yourself. You have the benefits of the other people that are doing it with you. And sometimes everybody's hands off, and because of the way that we structured our agreement, our property manager runs it. And that just comes out of the expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So by sharing the cost of the upkeep, the fractional ownership makes long-term ownership a much more realistic possibility and a lot easier as well, and a lot, stress-free. It's not as stressful to do it all by yourself, and it's a lot easier to get in. Like I said, it's a lot harder to get 100 properties by yourself, but working together, community-wise and with family, you can get there a lot sooner than by yourself. Together, we achieve more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so customize to suit what works for you. Everybody promotes generational wealth. So again, you can customize, however you want to get into investment strategy, and everybody benefits. Like I said, together we achieve more to create that generational wealth.
Yes, thank you, Max. Yes, okay. So I wanted to run, Max, can you check the chat box and just see, we're just getting to almost towards the end of our hour. Can you just see if there's
I did. There was a question on rent to own. I think one of it was, does new construction work for rent to own? Not usually. Usually new construction, the property would have to be ready really soon for it to qualify for a rent to own. Otherwise, it'd be something that maybe more you could help somebody investment wise with an assignment sale or something like that. But for rent to own, the property usually has to be available immediately or pretty soon, like within the next 3 to 6 months, and finish. Because if there's any delay on the construction or anything like that, that affects the investor and the ability to lock in that property.
Mm-hmm.
On that side. Another one was, does bankruptcy work on the rent to own? Yes, bankruptcy does work with the rent to own. Depending on how long is left on your bankruptcy or a consumer proposal, you can do the rent to own with a bankruptcy. It's actually built for, one of the reasons it's built for is for people in that position. And what was this again? Can more than one person do the rent to own? I think was one of them. And yes, you can. Yes, you can apply if it's more than one person.
Okay.
Yeah, so you may need somebody else's income to actually qualify for the rent to own, because you might not qualify for it by yourself. It's just like getting a mortgage, you may need a co-signer or whatever. But with the rent to own program, you're likely going to be applying with somebody that's going to live in the home with you, and the extra income helps to get a higher purchase price. So 5 times whatever your 5 times whatever your income is probably going to be smaller than 5 times whatever 2 incomes are. So those 2 incomes, can help you get a higher purchase price, and also helps you with the payments as well. So yes, you can apply for rent to own with more than one person.
Great. Well, thanks, Max. Thanks. So it was really important to me that we share the information you got with you guys, and then also let you understand where you can go from here to take action. So as far as rent to own goes, it really is just filling out that application form. It's $975 to apply, and that does go towards that initial down payment. You would fill in the application, obviously reach out, chat with us. We have a little video that goes through everything that we discussed today. And that's really where it goes. Again, you get approved. We understand what the buying power is. We go shopping and we're able to move forward on that one. So next steps, if rent to own was something you're interested in and you guys want an application, our information is in the chat box. Reach out and let us know. For those of you who were interested in pre-construction, understanding about pre-construction world, assignment strategies, if that sounded really exciting for you, if you're an investor and really want to understand how to utilize that, again, reach out to myself or Max. We have tons of opportunities. I have homes in Jamaica. I have projects. We have projects coming up in Dominican that has awesome cash flow opportunities. We have stuff in Calgary, super affordable, like properties in the 300s that you can have access to. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. So reach out to us, get on our broadcast list, just so you're in the loop. There have tons of people who, maybe many of you may be on the call today. It's just, I try to just share what's going on. I try not to make it overwhelming. I don't send something every day, but just if there's something that's an awesome opportunity, I'll just send it out and touch base with you guys. So get in touch with us. Let's keep the conversation going.
Hey, Steph.
Yes.
Sorry to jump in just because we're getting close to the end, and want to answer some of the questions that are coming in for rent to own. Things, Marsha, can someone be added down the road? Not likely, because it's a rent to own contract between whoever starts the contract and the investor. So you'd be opening up a contract to add somebody down the road. The odds are the best way to do it is to have everybody who's ready to do the rent to own program on in the beginning of the program. How do you have to have this? I think you can't see that. Dara, how long do you have to have a stable income to qualify for the rent to own? If you qualify for the rent to own, it's not really how long you have to have a stable income for the rent to own part. It's how long you have to have a stable income for the final mortgage part. So we actually help you through that process to get the rent to own as well. If you're from BC, do you have to rent on, pardon me. We can hook you up with somebody in BC that can organize that for you. Yes, we can. Rent on, no, it's not only offered for Ontario, but we primarily work in Ontario. If there's something else that can be done. Peter mentioned to me beginning of this call, he did something similar outside of Ontario, but our program is in Ontario. For more details, I'm going to say, give us a call directly. It'll be the best way to answer most of these questions because they're good questions and I want to get to all of them. But the best thing would be to give us a call directly and then we can sign you up or just answer some of your questions.
Yeah, we can pause again and keep going and go through a few more, but
yeah. And yes, there are always opportunities. If I think an investor asked, when can something happen? Just get in contact with us again and we can get you on our preferred investor list and we can go from there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Slash comment. I've only owned a few houses elsewhere. And here, lawyers and legal protection of the client. That's the person purchasing it.
So just like so just like any regular home purchase through the rent-to-own program, when you do the contract, you get your own independent legal advice. So whether you're on the investor side or you're on the rent-to-own tenant side, we give you that opportunity as well. So any contract you get into, regardless of real estate or whatever, you should get independent legal advice. So our contracts are all pretty standard, and like I said before, our goal is to have a win-win situation, and to make sure that you do get into the property on the rent-to-own side. Our program has had over 1,300 successful people that finish the program, and it's built for you to win. If you don't have 5% to get a mortgage, you can't get a mortgage. If we can't help you get 5%, and plus you qualify and have respectable size payments that you can afford, you won't finish our program, much less get a conventional mortgage. So we just build it, transparent that we want you to win, and also that you should seek independent legal advice and or credit advice and or accounting advice. So we're the real estate agents on this side.
Absolutely. And that is such an important point as well for the co-ownership and fractional ownership. So there is opportunities to do this together, as we've touched on so many times throughout the presentation. But the best, most important way that this works out is doing it the correct way. And that is drafting the agreement, getting the independent legal advice. All parties have their independent lawyers. You come together and make the agreement solid and binding. And, I've seen this done with people who didn't even know each other, but we did it with such a strong contract that the guidelines were very, very clear, and it was very successful, and it's worked out. And we actually have groups through, let's say, pre-construction, for example, where we'll have like maybe 10 people come together and purchase a unit, and your contribution is literally $200 a month, for example, like the cost you would pay for your phone bill. You are owning a piece of property. So we have these things in place. Reach out to us, take advantage. These are so many, like we said, these are 3 strategies we came up with that directly address some of these barriers that we see. You can own property, you can build wealth through real estate. It's possible. You just have to act. You have to take action. Okay. So I'm just going to try to wrap up fairly quickly, and then maybe we can get back to some questions, but I want to let those who have to go go. This is just an example. Joining our list, staying in contact with us, we have access to like off-market properties. This is just one example of a waterfront townhouse. It's in the $500,000 price range. I think it's like 60 or 70K deposit. The 3-bedroom townhome as well, 750K with a 70K deposit. It's a brand new home, but they're off-market opportunities. So these unique opportunities are a little bit more negotiable. You'll be able to have access to. This one's in Bowmanville. This is an example of doing it elsewhere, overseas. So this is out of the blue. It's a project I'm on in Jamaica. You can buy a whole detached house with 2 bedrooms for $145,000. So this was an example of utilizing your HELOC. I have folks that purchased a whole house using their HELOC, right? Using the equity in their property. And now they're able to create cash flow. They have a property passed down to their future generations. They can use it with their families and create memories on vacations. And it's amazing what's out there. So again, connect. And again, this is another co-ownership opportunity. I saw many friends come together, business associates, come together and do this, family members. Join our preferred client list. We also do this for resale. So if we know you're someone who is interested in getting out there with the rent to own program, remember, we qualify you and we get to go shopping. So reach out to us. We'll set up a list for you to receive notices. If there's a property in your area that fits your needs, you will get an email right away. I think it goes out at like 2 o'clock in the morning when the property hits the market. So you have first dibs. You're able to get out and have a look at it. We are very active, and we have the daily hot list. We will send it out to you guys to keep you informed on what's going on, and you can purchase your first property. Okay. So here is our contact information for Max and myself. We want to thank you guys so much. We will stay and answer a few more questions, but thank you so much for being here with us. If you thought the information was valuable, please say so in the chat. We want to hear from you. We definitely want some feedback. It was great having the opportunity to connect with all of you guys during the registration process. So that was wonderful. We really, really hope that this was providing some of those, like I said, solutions to the problems that you folks may be dealing with in terms of getting into that second or third property or getting into the first property. We really, really, really want to see our community, the people that we talk to and interact with every day, build wealth and build financial freedom. We're so here for you. We really, really, truly are. It's really a sincere passion. Yeah. So Max, anything else you want to say in closing? Peter, anything else you guys want to say in closing?
I would just
go ahead, Peter.
Okay, I'd just say that my interest for the last 30 years has been in protecting people, protecting them. And I think the best way is something that everybody has repeated and said, but I'm going to say it. We provide lawyers, and we have done so since 1972. I was in school in 1972, but we've been doing it since 1972. And we provide lawyers in the United States of America, all states, and in all provinces in Canada. So we are truly North American. It's legal shield. That's who I am. That's who I have protected people through that system. And I just want to say that everything you do, you should always look before you leap. So I'm a look before you leap. But get into real estate, 100%. There is no better way. I have had all types of investment, shares, bonds, stock, you name it, but real estate has appreciated considerably. And we are very lucky in Canada. It seems to have just gone up, 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 and not belly flop like some parts of the United States, which happened. I know people got hurt there. So that being said, I'm just very happy we're able to start this conversation.
Yes.
Thank you again for all who are here, and we're going to be doing more in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Peter said, because he's so right. Real estate in Canada, we are a protectionist country. So we have checks and balances in place that America doesn't have. So when Americans real estate market, crashes and everybody dies and burns, Canada is set up with the checks and balances so that we don't. If you look at, Peter says he's had all kind of investments. If you look at all the richest families and money in the world, it's in natural resources and property. Natural resources is just another way of saying property, whether it's oil or copper or whatever. At the end of the day, it's owning something substantial, which is property, a house, or whatever else. So you can have your income, but your wealth is always in some form of asset like property. And I'm just happy to give back to the community and learn as well as give out information as we're going along.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone, for being with us. I was just trying to go through the chat box a little bit. We've got a lot of great feedback. That's really great. Oh, yes, maybe upcoming webinars. I'm really excited as well about like the burst strategy and buys and flips and stuff. And I wanted to fit this into this presentation, but Max reined me in.
No.
So that is definitely going to be an upcoming topic. I'm very passionate about this, guys, and I just want to see everybody be successful. So that's definitely an upcoming topic. I would love to get into a little bit more about this, like fractional ownership and co-ownership, and maybe dive into numbers and stuff a little bit more as well. Definitely a first-time home buyers webinar, I think will be really awesome. So you can understand the process that you go through, because it's a lot and it can be quite overwhelming. And we definitely want to make sure you guys are well prepared for that. So yeah, there's definitely going to be more to come. And tell your friends about us.
Yes.
Get in contact. Our contact information is there. I saw some folks asking about how to get on our broadcast list. Just text me. I will add you. We have your email address and we'll start shooting stuff out to you. So I'm going to formally end the call there. And for those of you who have to go, thank you again for being here with us. And I guess maybe, Max, if you're okay, we'll just run through the chat and just see if there's anything else we mixed. So yeah, if you guys have some more questions, you can stay with us. Peter, thank you so much for the conversations we've been having. And, I'm really happy we were able to pull this together. And yeah, there's more to come. Definitely. Yes, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording somehow.
Good night.
Yes, good night, everybody. Thank you.